My name is Michal, which is exciting to say in Costa Rica because it's the only place in which I can pronounce the ch, and people can actually say Michal instead of the Mihal, all the kind of versions I hear. And I'm a neuroscientist in Tel Aviv University in Israel. And let's begin with a musical piece, which makes me very excited, by Philip Glass. And I want you to relax into this music with one request for me. Pay attention to the musical surprises and what they make you feel within your body. So close your eyes and surrender to the music. Okay, perfect. How was it?
Amazing, wonderful.
Right? Wow. Did you see the Truman Show movie?
Yes.
So Philip Glass is the one who's responsible for the music in the movie. So this piece of music was given to our participants in the research with one question. Please mark the specific notes which made you feel the most pleasant. They were given an fMRI, so we could see their nucleus accumbens, the part in the reward system which makes the brain feel the pleasure we feel in our body. And they had a behavioral questionnaire in which they were describing their experience during the musical piece. And the conclusion we came to in the research is that musical surprises initiate the activation of the reward system. Here you can see the nucleus accumbens with a green dot, the place which is responsible for the pleasure response in our body. And it arises the experience of pleasantness through listening. Now, as I say it kind of sounds weird. How come surprises make us feel pleasure? It's like anti the mechanism that we're supposed to be engineered by, right? How come surprises make us feel pleasure? And it makes me ask the question, what is a surprise? And it brings me to the era in which we were the Asian being in the forest. And we were hunting and going to the forest. And then, okay, musical surprise, well demonstrated. We were listening to a sound within the bushes or within the trees. And we had 1 second to decide whether it's a wind or there's a bear or a lion hiding in the bushes. And this 1 second was the second in which we had to decide whether we should relax and listen to the beautiful wind within the bushes, or we need to run away to get ourselves to a safer place. So think about the mechanism of the brain, which is supposed to make us feel that we need to make the best decision as possible. And surprise is a danger. Because if I say it's wind and then it's a bear, it's not as pleasant a musical surprise. It can cost me my life. So our brain is engineered in a way that when there is a difference between the sensory input and the prediction about the next moment, and this second in which there is a gap in this second, the dopamine is being released. For me, it was kind of shocking to hear it, because for me, dopamine is associated with being hugged by a person I love, or being evaluated socially, or eating chocolate, or other things we like, and not being surprised by something I did not expect. And here, neuroscience says that when there is a mismatch between the sensory input, the music you were predicting to happen, okay, and the prediction, in this second, there's the dopamine release. Now, we used to think about listening to music as in passive progress, right? I told you, you need to surrender to the music and to relax, and you were closing your eyes, right? You were surrendering to this experience, but your brain was incredibly active in this process, because in every second you were listening to the music, your brain made a prediction about the next moment, right? About the tempo, about the chords, about the notes. And in the who had like shivers down his spine? Did anybody have that? Yes, perfect. I did not ask him to do it. They actually felt that. So whenever you feel shivers down the spine, that's the moment there's a mismatch between the sensory input you actually received, like in the moment of da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, like in the musical piece you listen to, and the predictions, because you predicted something, and then the sensory input processed in this area of the brain said something completely different. The thing is, whenever I say that there are like two lines processed in the brain in every second of being, the sensory input and the prediction, we tend to think that it's okay, it's like 50-50, right? Whenever we say that there are two things, we usually say, okay, it's kind of 50% sensory input, 50% prediction, and then the brain calculates the information and decides whether it's a pleasant surprise or not. But the interesting thing, and actually I cried the first time I discovered that, because it made me feel so normal. It made my emotional experiences feel like, oh, it explains it all. Thank God something makes me feel normal. It's why I went to study neuroscience, okay? Not because of the science, that's just something will tell me, okay, you're like engineered in this way. The thing is that sometimes in our life the sensory input is enhanced. It's like 70%, and the predictions are 30. Let's say like the 70 and 30 as an example. And sometimes the predictions are stronger in the scale than the sensory inputs. Can you imagine that? I will give you an example. Please take a look at the following meme. Who misread the top line? I love seeing that. Like everyone is mistaken in the flat line. And why is that so? What was enhanced in the process? Okay, let me re-explain that. When I read that in the first time, I was like, what if I told you misread the top line? And then I was like, what's going on? I went to the first line, and then I saw, what I if told you? And I didn't even pay attention to that. Who didn't pay attention to that? Perfect. Yes. Okay? So, when you did not pay attention to that, what was enhanced? The predictions, right? Because your brain is used to save energy. It's mechanized in a way that if you think something is similar to other pattern you know, then your brain will be like, okay, I know this. I can recognize this. Like the example with the ancient being in the forest. It sounds like something I know, then it's probably that's something I know. And I need to make a decision real quickly so I can survive in the forest. And your brain is mechanized in this way, so when you read something, you're like the ancient being in the forest, and you read it and you're like, okay, I know what that is. I'm mistaken. So this is a moment when the predictions are more heavy. But when is the sensory input is more heavy? It happens when our sympathetic our sympathetic nervous system is activated. Go with me into a day in my life in Tel Aviv, okay? I wake up not with the singing of the birds, but with the building noises of the beautiful Tel Aviv. And then I go by bus to my laboratory. And then I get a message which makes me feel like, I didn't like that message. And then I meet my boss and he says like, okay, we have a lot of work to do. And I'm like, we have a lot of work, okay. And every single time something like this happens, I'm I'm like a bucket, okay? And more water is being spilled into it. More water, more water, more water. And then a friend says something to me, or a partner, okay? And it's like the tiny drop of water that makes everything spill, right? You know, when you're like over the top, and something says something that activates your nervous system, and you're like, no, I cannot handle this anymore, right? And in other day, in which you were more calm, you could say like, okay, he just said that we have a lot of work. He didn't say like, you have a lot of work, Michal, you need to, no. He just said, you have a lot of work. But because my nervous system was activated and my sensory input was enhanced, I'm already like prepared, like the ancient being in the forest, that there's a danger going on, and I'm ready for the danger, and I'm like hearing what he says through the filter of, okay, there's a danger, I have to prepare. Okay? And in other situations in life, the predictions are enhanced, just like in the meme I showed you before. Who had a breakup recently? I'm lifting my hand as if I'm the only one who had a breakup recently. Okay, so I will be the only one. So let's take this. Okay, so 2 years ago, I was in the midburn, which is like the Israeli Benin man, and I was right after a fresh breakup. And then I was going on in midburn, and every man I saw from afar looked like my ex. It was crazy, and it's not so original to look like my ex, okay? Everyone in midburn wears fur, okay? There's like the stylish kimonos of men in burning, you know, this kind of shit, like original, everyone is so special. So I looked at every man, and I was like, is it him? And why is that so? Because my prediction was enhanced. Because this what my mind was thinking about all the time. Okay, this was an era in which I had to think about it and grieve, and I was grieving a lot. And my mind was processing the whole time. So my prediction was enhanced in this situation. So I was going in midburn, and I wasn't like in a neutral circumstances. I was going there and like, okay, where is he? I know he's here. Where is he? Does it look like him? Okay. And then every time I saw something similar, I was like, and then I had to calm myself down. Okay? And this is a similar phenomenon in which we think something exists in the reality. Like if I want to buy a blue car, suddenly I go in the street and everybody has a blue car, right? It's unbelievable. Just today, everybody has a blue car. And why is that so? Because of the enhanced predictions. And how the hell am I supposed to support myself with this information? Because we do not study neuroscience for the sake of getting the researches published and Google Scholar and having my name in the research and feeling like I contributed something to the science. No, this is not why I do science. And not even to discover new things. The reason I study that is that to make people normal, right? Like to give people tools to make themselves feel better. This is why I am there, to feel normal, to feel like, okay, there's not something wrong with me. Like, I'm not overreacting, you know, like, you're overreacting. No, you're not overreacting. Your brain is engineered in the way that you're supposed to overreact, because this is the survival method that makes you feel so clever and so, like, this is brilliant. This is the most brilliant engineering ever made. So I will give you 2 tools that help me whenever I recognize that I'm in an enhanced sensory input or enhanced predictions. So whenever I'm an enhanced sensory input, example, before I went on the stage, okay, I felt like my sympathetic nervous system is like I'm in a survival mode. I need to, okay, my heart is beating faster and I have shivers and I'm like, ooh, okay. So in this situation, it would not be that helpful to say myself, you know, like you're nervous and you come into a person you like and he says like, you're going to be okay. Did it ever help anybody that you were nervous and the person said, you're going to be okay? And you're like, oh, thank you. No, it does not work this way because your nervous system is activated. And when your nervous system is speaking, you need to speak to her in a language that she understands. And the language that the nervous system understands is the body language, right? Is the body work. For example, shaking the body, right? Shaking the body makes the nervous system feel like you've seen it in National Geographic, right? Like cheetahs, after they're being hunted, they were like doing this.
shake out the energy stuck in the body, okay?
Or doing breath work, taking like 4 seconds of deep breath and then holding the breath and then releasing it out. So whenever you feel like your sympathetic nervous system is activated, there's no need to say you're going to be okay. Your mind will not understand that, and the way to calm yourself down would be via the body. Okay? So this is one situation. Another situation, let's go to the situation with the ex or with the boss, for example. Whenever I feel like the boss is checking me if I'm doing well, if I'm not doing well, and then he says like, we have a lot of work to do, Michal, and I'm like, okay. And this second of being stressed by this, I'm just paying attention that, okay, I have a prediction that he is going to be disappointed with me, right? I have a prediction of his behavior. I'm not living this moment. I'm like preparing myself for what is going to happen, okay? So in this moment of being stressed because of it, I'm like, oh, thank God, I have a prediction. And this prediction makes me see the reality through glasses of, okay, I need to hear it from a certain perspective and then to get ready for this, okay? Or like going in the midburn and seeing my ex everywhere. It's like, okay, I have an enhanced prediction here. And what helps me here is self-compassion, okay? Inner speaking. And I have a good example of it when babysitting to my nephews. Like holding that, for example, if a child falls on the floor, okay, and he gets hit, you don't say, okay, nothing happened. No, because he cries. And what he needs to do is to hear that whatever he feels is normal. And we need to take the baby to be a good mother for myself, right? I need to take that baby and to lift it up in my hands and to say, I hear you. It is painful. It is painful and it is so normal to feel it. And I know that it's important to you that your mentor in the lab will feel that he's appreciating you. And you need to feel that you're going to do a good job. You need to feel like you're doing a good job, okay? And as I stand in front of you, I have all of these predictions of like, I wish it's interesting, and I hope that they're laughing, and I hope that they're concentrating, and I'm renovating something, okay? I have this prediction all the time, and then it makes me nervous, and I'm like a good mother to my inner child, and I'm saying, honey, it's so normal that you care about what other people think about you. We all try to say that, I don't care what, no, it's normal to feel it. And it's like recognizing the need of the inner child. And these two tools are like making the scales to a balanced position, right? The sensory input, when it's too enhanced, it's make us like to spill a little bit of water from the bucket and turn the bucket into a normal situation to be like, okay, I'm not in danger anymore, as if I was in the forest. Or whenever I have a prediction, to normalize it with self-compassion makes me, okay, so I have an enhanced prediction and I see the reality through certain eyes, and okay, I can let it go. This is not real reality. This is the reality through the glasses of what is important to me. So this is it, and this is the reason I went to study neuroscience, specifically music and dancing, because I think that science is art, okay? And these two methods of music and dance are, and studying how the brain processes them, is an amazing mechanism to study how we react to uncertainty. And uncertainty is everywhere, in music and in real life. So if we can study music and do it in a convenient way and in a pleasant way, I think it's a good way to study uncertainty and how the brain is acting to it and help us with this information. Thank you.